Snow drifted softly in the morning light, each flake glistening like a tiny shard of hope falling from the sky. The world seemed quiet, almost too quiet, as if it were holding its breath for what was about to unfold. And in that stillness, a moment was born, one that would change 3 lives forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of small miracles, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soft Voices, so more hearts can find stories like this one. Aurelia Voss had not meant for life to fall apart the way it did. Just 6 months earlier, she had a job at a floral shop, a small rented room, and a sense of direction. But life had a way of unraveling quickly when support systems disappeared. A fire in her building took everything she owned. The shop closed due to financial troubles. And in the mess of paperwork, waiting lists, and empty promises, she slipped through every crack until she found herself sleeping in shelters, alleyways, and sometimes, like today, waiting at bus stops just to feel like she still existed, among people who had somewhere to go. Her red dress, once her favorite, was now the only outfit she had left. She sat hugging her knees as morning snow gathered around her, her breath unsteady and white in the crisp air. Her mind echoed with quiet desperation. She didn't want pity. She didn't want charity. She just wanted a moment of warmth, of connection, of anything other than loneliness. About 10 feet away, a little girl named Soraya was twirling in falling snowflakes, her brown curls bouncing as laughter bubbled from her chest. She was a small burst of sunlight in the cold morning. Her father, Rowan, stood behind her, his hands tucked in his coat pockets as he watched her play. They were waiting for the same bus, unaware that this morning would leave an imprint on their hearts. Rowan noticed the woman in red, thin, trembling, and trying to hide the fact that tears were streaking her cheeks. He hesitated. People often did. After all, approaching a stranger in distress was uncomfortable. He glanced at Soraya again, her innocence untouched by hesitation, then back at the woman. Something in the scene tugged at him. Maybe empathy, maybe memory, maybe fate. Soraya spun one last time before her eyes locked onto Aurelia. She stopped abruptly, head tilting with pure curiosity. She stared for a few seconds, reading an emotion that even adults often failed to recognize. Aurelia wiped her cheeks quickly, hoping no one noticed. But Soraya noticed everything. Slowly, almost ceremonially, the little girl walked toward her, arms spreading in the kind of welcoming gesture that only a child's heart could offer freely. Aurelia blinked, startled. She had gone so long without touch or comfort that the gesture almost frightened her. Soraya stood right in front of her, smiling with eyes bright and honest. And then she whispered the words that cracked something fragile inside Aurelia. "I think you need a hug. Can I hug you?" The world paused. Truly paused. Aurelia felt her throat tighten, her breath catch, and for a moment she couldn't speak. She nodded before she even realized she had. Soraya wrapped her small arms around her, pressing her warm cheek against Aurelia's shoulder. It was simple. It was pure. It was everything Aurelia had forgotten she deserved. Her trembling hands rose to hold the child gently, as if afraid she might break the magic by holding too tightly. Rowan watched, stunned and unexpectedly emotional. Something in him softened, cracked open, and filled with gratitude for his daughter's heart. Aurelia whispered, "Thank you," barely audible. Soraya just squeezed tighter, as if hugs were the only answers needed in a world too full of complicated problems. When she finally stepped back, Aurelia felt a warmth in her chest she had not felt in so long it almost hurt. She looked at Rowan, feeling suddenly exposed and embarrassed, but Rowan stepped closer, offering a small, reassuring nod. He asked gently if she was okay. Aurelia opened her mouth, but the truth spilled out before she could stop it. She wasn't okay. She hadn't been okay for a long time. Rowan listened carefully, not with pity, but with human understanding. He asked if she had eaten. She admitted she hadn't since yesterday. Without hesitation, he offered to take her to a nearby cafe after the bus arrived. Aurelia began to refuse out of habit. She wasn't used to kindness. But Soraya took her hand, and the refusal faded in her throat. Together they boarded the bus, sitting side by side, and for the first time in months, Aurelia didn't feel invisible. The cafe was warm and filled with the scent of cinnamon, coffee, and freshly baked bread. Aurelia felt awkward at first, sitting across from Rowan and Soraya, unsure where she belonged in this unexpected moment of normalcy. But Rowan treated her the same way he treated his daughter, with patience and respect. Soraya kept talking about snowflakes, the color pink, and how people should hug more often. Aurelia found herself smiling, genuinely smiling, at the child's endless stream of thoughts. As she ate, she felt energy slowly returning to her body, her hands no longer shaking from cold or hunger. Rowan asked careful questions, and Aurelia told him pieces of her story. Not everything, just enough for him to understand how quickly life can fall apart. He didn't judge. Instead, he shared small things about his own past, times he had struggled, times he had nearly lost hope, just enough to make her feel less alone. When their meal was done, Rowan surprised her again. He had made a few calls while she was in the restroom. He had found an opening at a women's shelter known for fast housing placement and life skills programs. He offered to drive her there, and though Aurelia hesitated again, Soraya held her hand with fierce determination. Aurelia felt tears burn her eyes. This wasn't pity, it was belief. Someone finally believed she deserved another chance. By afternoon, she checked into the shelter, carrying a small bag Rowan had purchased for her with basic necessities. Soraya gave her one last long hug before leaving, promising she would come visit with her dad. Aurelia watched them walk away, feeling something she had not felt in a very long time: hope. The following weeks became a slow climb upward. Aurelia attended counseling, regained emotional strength, and began volunteering at the shelter. Her natural kindness made her a favorite among the other women. She found work at a small bakery and saved every dollar she could. Rowan and Soraya visited often, each time brightening her world a little more. Soraya would bring drawings, usually of 3 people holding hands under falling snow, and Aurelia kept every one. In time, she found a small apartment. Rowan helped her move, Soraya helped her decorate, and one evening as they sat together sharing pastries and laughter, Aurelia realized she was no longer surviving, she was living. Months later, she stood outside that same bus stop, the place where everything had changed, watching snow fall in soft daytime light. She felt stronger, warmer, and more grateful than she had ever been. Soraya ran toward her, arms wide as usual, and hugged her tightly. Rowan joined them, smiling. Aurelia closed her eyes against the cold air and let the moment fill her heart. She knew life wasn't perfect, but it was beautiful again. All because a child had noticed her pain and offered the simplest gift in the world, a hug. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Soft Voices so more people can feel the warmth of stories like this. Special request: comment hugs heal hearts if you believe kindness can save someone's life.